Witchers, welcome back to the Witcher Lorecast. This is your host, Tom, or Robots, and I'm here with Toasty and a group of other individuals because we were supposed to record this on Monday night, but the little goblin in my brain decided to start trying to eat my own brain, so we had to postpone it to a Wednesday night a little bit later. But this is the patron chat for the month of October, even though it's now November. And Toasty, how you doing, buddy? You doing good?
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm tired.
Yeah. Toasty's just works so hard. He's just a hard-working guy bouncing those raspberries off the ground. It was raspberries, right? Cranberries.
Cranberries.
Did you know, Toasty just revealed to me that cranberries can bounce like rubber balls. It's a true fact.
I don't know if it's I'm testing it though tomorrow.
He's got to go test it. Yeah.
First thing in the morning, I'm ripping open a bag of cranberries and I'm going to see.
Yeah.
So,
yep. Well, we've got some guests and we've got some really hot news to talk about with our guests. They've got opinions and we're going to give them the opportunity. This is their field to share all of their thoughts, all of their feelings. And with us, again, some of our favorite patrons, Ben of Temeria, Crow of Velen, and Genesis. Welcome back, everybody. You can all say hi at the same time. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
How's it going? Are you guys ready to talk about
the same time, people? That was awful. What are we doing?
Well, could we get a countdown then?
All right, ready? 3, 2, 1.
Hello.
Hello.
Closer.
Toasty's fault.
Welcome back to this. We'll just call it delay, like internet delay. That's the problem. But we have some big news this week. This last week, we got a bombshell. A bomb dropped on the Witcher universe, and specifically the Witcher cinematic universe, the Netflix cinematic Witcher universe. I'm just going to keep adding words to this. Henry Cavill posted a message about, and he was very tactful, very polite about how he has decided that it's time to move on from his role as a Geralt of Rivia, pass the torch to someone else, and he's going to go do other things. And of course it was, he's a very careful guy. He's a smart guy. He's a good actor, and he understands perception. He understands being professional, all of those kinds of things. And so there wasn't any hint of like, this is why I'm doing it, or I'm unhappy with this, or I got a great opportunity over here. It was just very, very professionally laid out, like, time for me to move on. That's what I'm doing. And so instead, we're getting, when we've already been told that Liam Hemsworth, the brother of Chris Hemsworth, who plays Thor, is now taking on this role. And over this last week, we've had a lot of speculation. The internet has now exploded with fans saying, oh, this is the end of the series, or, oh my God, Liam's going to be terrible. How could you ever replace Henry? Because everybody loves Henry. Lots of feelings out there. And that's the news, friends. Now, I've got a bunch of different thoughts. There's a lot of speculation on what's actually going on here. Let me just sum up a little bit of that right now. One of the speculations that went out there was, with the changing of the CEOs and the management at DC Comics, and specifically for their movie division, that he, as we know, he's now showing up in other DC films again, and potentially will be doing another Superman movie. So they come in with a big Hollywood budget and they say, yeah, you were making $1 million per episode on The Witcher, but we're going to pay you this. Come do this stuff instead. Maybe that was enough to go. The other train of thought here is that he was just tired of arguing with the writers. As we've heard, there have been discrepancies, and we've seen, especially in season 2, very big discrepancies between where the show is going and what happens in the books. And in multiple interviews, Henry has regularly said, I'm trying to portray Geralt as best I can according to the books, and trying to make that match the vision of the showrunners and the writers. And he's been very, again, tactful about saying that, like, it doesn't always line up, but I'm doing the best I can because that's what I believe this character should be. So did he just get fed up with that and decide to move on because of that? Is it both things combined? What else is going on? What do you guys think? Who wants to chime in? What are your thoughts on this? Who wants to start?
I think it has a lot to do with that second point, with not portraying Geralt the way that he wanted to, and not sticking to the source material, because that has come out, like, he's tweeted about it. He's talked about it in interviews. It's come up every season where it's like, I understand that sometimes roles need to be combined, or else you'll have a Game of Thrones-esque level of characters that nobody can follow and keep track unless you already know the story. So combining characters or shortening storylines can work in some cases, but when it comes to Geralt himself, you really shouldn't make too many drastic changes. And I think that he wanted to stick to the source material as much as possible, and they just weren't doing that well enough for him.
Yeah, I read one article that in one of the interviews he stated, or one of the questions that he got online somewhere, he stated that he was pushing for more dialogue in the first season. Like, all the way back to season 1, during the filming of the season, he had specifically sat down with the writers and the showrunner and said, listen, can we get more dialogue for Geralt? I get the whole, it's funny that he's brooding. He's kind of, he's kind of pissed off. He's kind of a brooding kind of character. But, and in his own words, he said, he's also like an amateur philosopher. There's a lot of internal dialogue that goes on in the books where he's trying to understand the world and trying to justify good and evil and all of these things. We can't get a glimpse at that unless he says words because they can't hear what I'm thinking while I'm acting the role. And so that right off of season 1 was a big difference in the way that they were portraying the character on screen from what he seemed to think should have been the case. Have you guys heard that quote before?
Yeah, I actually think that I read that same article where, he wants Geralt, because like you said, we hear it, or we read his inner monologue in the books and stuff. And again, like you said, it's funny. He's just grunts and is brooding. Actually, a buddy of mine that hasn't even seen The Witcher yet, he's the one that saw the article first and sent it to me. But whenever I was kind of explaining that portion of it, he was like, oh, so they made a Witcher Batman. And, I mean, it made kind of sense. But he talks about how not only is he like philosophizing in this world that he lives in where there's a lot of gray, and that's where he kind of operates, is not there. It's like in a moral gray area. And that's something I kind of thought about whenever it comes to the show, is that Geralt in the show, even though he's still like kind of an asshole to everybody because he's pushing people away, he still has like a very strong moral compass to do good, even to the point, especially in season 2, to judge others for like the gray area or the like more bad stuff that they do. And so he himself has become more morally good and not operated so much in the middle.
Yeah. I mean, Toasty and I talk about it all the time, how he can't help but be the White Knight. Like, that's just kind of inherent to him. He's disturbed by the terrible nature of the world and the terrible things that happen. And part of the reason why he's disturbed by that is because he wishes things were actually better, and he's trying to do better. Ben, what do you think about the distance between him portraying the character in the books and then the way the show writers have done things? Oh, you're still muted. I think you're... Oh, wait. Nope. Now you're there.
Okay. That's super weird.
As soon as you said your voice came through.
So I agree with everyone here. I believe him. The whole point of him leaving is creative difference, because he's been very vocal in both season 1 and season 2, how he wants everything to be close to the books. Yeah, there's going to be adaptation changes from book format to screen. But, and I saw this article literally last week that one of the former writers, one of the former writers, he left the project and came out and said that a good portion of the writing team even mocked the original source material and games.
Yeah, I'd heard the quote. I didn't realize it was a former writer.
Yeah, it was a former producer and writer on the show.
Wow.
And I think that's where it's coming down to where they don't respect the original books, and Henry being, the nerd and awesome person that he is, wanting everything to be as close to the books as possible, kind of probably tipped him overboard.
It's strange to think, just to jump in real quick, it's strange to think of having a project and then hiring people to do the project, and then knowingly hire people who don't like the source material for the project. That seems really strange to me. And we talk about this all the time. I totally understand that translation from book to screen or from any media to any other type of media is never going to be 100% exactly the same. It has to change. It has to match the new media. Absolutely, all the time. There always needs to be some form of change. But like that would be like, I'm going to open a McDonald's and I'm going to only hire people to cook hamburgers who hate hamburgers. It doesn't make any sense, right? Like you don't open a burger restaurant with a bunch of chefs who hate burgers. Like
and I just saw this today. There is actually a petition now to keep Henry Cavill on as Geralt.
Yeah.
And completely scrap the writing team.
Right.
And get a whole new writing team, which honestly probably would fix everything.
Do you think it's too late though? I mean, they already have season 3 in the can, as they say.
I mean, season 3 is like done and works.
Right. Do you think they
happens,
can, like, with how far things have moved in the second season from what the books were doing? Now you've got an entire other season already done that's going to push things even further from what the book. Is it too late?
I mean, they could probably do some magic BS, try to get things back on track.
That was another reality that Siri whisked us all away to. But let's get back to the real continent.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, at this point, the show's probably kind of set in stone where they're going with the story. But yeah, it's...
So I had something else to add about that, because the conversation I had with my buddy, it actually reminded me a lot of Ryan Reynolds, the character Deadpool. Mm-hmm. And like you're kind of talking about how writers that don't really respect the source material or what, like trying to kind of recreate the success of the source material. With Ryan Reynolds, like the first time he played Deadpool in that X-Men Origins movie.
Yeah, right.
He tried to talk to the writers about that as well, and they tried to sue him over breach of contract whenever he didn't want to do it. And then they went on to obviously do the Deadpool movies, and he even took a pay cut so that they would be rated R, right. Even though everybody at Fox was like, no, superhero movies can't be rated R because they're for kids. And they're like some of the highest grossing movies, like especially superhero movies. And so that's just kind of what happens whenever you have somebody like Henry Cavill, who's a huge nerd, like not only in the size of his nerdiness, but then he's just a massive dude as well. But right. Like he's a huge nerd who loves the world and the material. And he sees them like not necessarily butchering it, but definitely not doing it the justice that it could be doing. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, it's like whenever Fox listened to Ryan Reynolds, they made one of the most successful superhero movies, and not listening to Henry Cavill.
Let's take that comparison another step. In the case of Deadpool's portrayal in the Wolverine movie, they absolutely butchered the character. It was nothing like Deadpool in the comics, right? Everybody who watched it by the end of that film were just like, what is this? Why did they do this? The difference there is that is a one-off film, and then Fox was able to go, okay, well, let's do a Deadpool film and just like right our wrong, because it's another film, it's some other cinematic universe, whatever, it's something else. In the case here, you have a Witcher series that's 3 seasons in, that's very committed with a lot of budget, a lot of other actors and things like that. There has to be continuity between what they've already created and what they're gonna create. Like if the people who are pulling the strings at Netflix have any sense, I totally agree. Right the ship, bring Henry back on board, and make sure that you can make this the show that the fans actually want to see. Otherwise, it's just going to slowly decline, because the people who really care are just going to stop tuning in. They're going to be like, well, this isn't what I wanted. This isn't the thing. Why would you do this? You could just do some generic show and call it something else and not call it The Witcher, and just have some sort of, magic and whatever landscape and, roughly make it approximately the same story. Just don't call it The Witcher, right? So I guess the question is, can you write... If you can do that for a movie, can you do that for a series, or do you need to just burn the whole thing down and then relaunch it again with Henry Cavill? Can that work for a series as opposed to a movie?
So with that, and I think it's like easy-ish fixes. Like, of course, with the movies, like you said, it's like, okay, it's a bad movie, burn it, whatever. We can try again later. With this and like we've talked about previously, if everything was exactly like it was in the book, it wouldn't be as interesting to watch for the book readers because we're just seeing everything play out exactly and we already know what's going to happen. So they do already have kind of a altering story that has the characters in the world. I think a lot of this could be fixed with just the characterization of certain characters, like Henry Cavill talking about trying to add more dialogue into it and flush out Geralt's character more than just making him a brooding cardboard piece with two swords.
Yeah. Yeah.
Plus, this also, it depends on where season 3 goes, because we don't know anything about the story for season 3 yet. So it could be off the wall craziness to where it's like, well, can they salvage? Can they not? I mean, we won't really know if they can really salvage it until season 3 drops next year in summer.
Yeah, because in the course of an entire season of a show, they could move this in some very far distant directions from the source material. Like they've already treaded in places where they're going, okay, well, different things are happening with the Witchers than we expected. Different things are happening with Ciri than we expected. This is definitely playing out in ways that we did not expect. They're focusing on other characters, but what if they take it so far off the reservation that they can't get back?
I feel like they will.
You don't think they will? You think the writers
I think they will.
Oh, you do think they will?
They already have, like season 3, what they've done. Because I mean, just seeing the trend that we see from season 1 and season 2 of just like season 1 still had some like differences, obviously, but I'd say it was like at least sitting at like 75% like book accuracy to 25% like creative liberty,
and it felt thematically accurate. To add on top of what you're saying, it still felt like, oh, this is Geralt, oh, this is Yennefer, like these are the characters that we know, and they're acted very similarly to the way you would have expected them from the books.
And then but in season 2 we see I don't know, like this is probably a generous amount, but maybe like 40% book accuracy to 60% creative freedom. Mm-hmm. And we already, like, I mean, if the trend just continues, what are we going to get? Like 5-10% in season 3?
Yeah, just keeps moving away.
In which case you can't do a full revert at that point. Like maybe try to gradually ease back in, but at that point you've already lost all the fans that were listening because they wanted, like, they appreciated the book material. They're already gone. Like I think after season 3, maybe like 5% of like the people that are that were still hanging on for hope, like, will be the ones remaining. Like, I mean, especially with with the recasting and stuff, I think a lot of people are going to leave after that too.
Now, putting my head in the mindset of the writers and the showrunner, I think what they're probably wagering is that the hardcore fans, the ones who've played the games, read the books, and will be upset about it moving too far from the source material, make up such a small percentage of the potential audience. Because if you were to poll everybody who watched season 1 and 2 of The Witcher and asked what percentage of those people actually spend time playing the games or reading the books, I bet it's less than 10%. It's probably closer to like 2 or 3% of the total audience, because this is a Netflix audience. This is a massive group of people. This is millions of people. The games themselves only sold X number of million copies, but the show across the world has been shown in front of hundreds of millions of people. So the percentage is there, and then even less people have taken the time to read the books. So the percentages there are significantly higher in the, well, I don't know anything about this universe, I'm just going to take the show at what it's saying as being, this is The Witcher to me, right? I think the showrunners are probably going, well, even if we lose 10% of our audience, we've still got 90% of the audience, and we know how to write a good story, and so that's going to be great. And that audience will grow over time because we'll write a good story, and it doesn't matter if the hardcore fans are in it or not. Do you think that's, I mean, why else would they be making these decisions? Like, why else take things in a direction unless they think they know better and they're wagering that it's going to come out to their benefit in the long run? What do you guys think?
Yeah, my mom is in that category. She's never read the books, she's never played the games, but she saw cute Henry Cavill show up on Netflix one day and ended up watching the series and falling in love with it. And now I was talking to her earlier yesterday, and I was like, "Oh, well, what do you feel about him getting recast?" She goes, "Oh, well, Liam's cute too, so it should be fine."
Liam's cute too. I mean, she's right. He's not Henry, but yeah, like I think that's what they're banking on, is who they think their core audience is. And for people like us, that sucks, because we're like, well, yeah, but like Henry did a spot on Geralt. Like he's freaking Geralt. There's the quote from Andrei Tarkovsky, who's like, he's given his face to the character. That aged real well at this point. But at the same time, he wouldn't have the go-ahead from the studio to put out a formal announcement, it's time for me to move on, la, 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 if he hadn't already, and they hadn't already probably been working for months to renegotiate how they can make it work out for him to stay. And ultimately, it fell through. So they must be going, well, we can move on without you because we can't convince you to stay. So we're going to be fine. Which sounds crazy to us, but I don't know. What do you guys, do you think there's any chance there? I mean, maybe the show becomes something that we are not into, but do you think the show can continue to be successful at all?
So, because that was something else, I didn't know if we were going to talk about the transition until after the mid break or. Well,
go ahead. Well, we'll take the mid break in a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about Liam and some of our thoughts about him taking on the role, but we can save that for later. But do you have something else you want to add?
I was going to talk about the transition a little bit, like not too much Liam specifically taking the role, like how he will do in the role, but the transition in general, because again, this came up with my buddy whenever I was talking with him yesterday about it. With a lot of shows as well, especially once they end, it's about kind of like rewatchability. That'll also kind of plays a part about how successful any spin-offs would be or anything like that. And I think changing the face of a character, and because they can only do it really one of two ways, either just throw them in and like at season 4, if they haven't started shooting that yet, just throw them in and not give us any explanation, just have Yennefer and Ciri calling a completely different guy Geralt,
right?
Or do like making up some BS and
right, saying, man, you were really battle wounded, your face looks different.
Yeah, like oh, you got your uterus taken out to turn into a witch, and so now you look like this. Just stuff like that. And so it's going to be really jarring no matter what they do. And no matter how well Liam does in the role, they're only officially signed on for seasons 4 and 5. And I know they were wanting to take it to at least 7. And I think that it's going to kind of bring it to a halt. Like, they might be able to make 4 and 5 with Liam, and regardless of how good he does or where they take the story, I think it's very shaky and up in the air now, even before seeing season 3, whether or not they would even get signed on for season 6, just because of how jolting it's going to be.
Yeah. Well, it ultimately comes down to viewership. I mean, that is the bar. They internally, shows like this have an expected number, and then they have a minimum number among the executives to justify pulling on another season. At some point, they make that decision. So ultimately, it's going to come down to do they retain viewers? Do they continue to grow viewers? How does that work? And then will it get a new season? So, I guess that's the question, is that, like, if this does push away so much of the what we consider the core fan base of The Witcher, is that circle, is that Venn diagram overlap enough with what would be the core viewer base of The Witcher show?
Well, and you also have to kind of, because like you were saying with those like core Witcher fans, like the book and the gamers, if I don't think every single one of them is just going to completely stop watching if they veer too far from the story, because then there's people like me who, like, even though it might not be close enough to the story, or even though they changed the actor that I really enjoy, I'm still going to watch it, just like, even if it's not very good, because I have shows like that I watch. I'm still going to watch it just because of like the world, and that's what I have right now.
And you want to see what's going to happen. Like, okay, so of the five of us, how many of you guys watched Game of Thrones, the original Game of Thrones, not the Dragons one, the new one, the original Game of Thrones in the first 4 seasons, during the first 4 seasons? Okay. Did you finish watching all of the Game of Thrones through season 5, 6, and 7, even though it continued to decline after that? I did too. I still watched it. It was a train wreck, but I still watched it. Is this going to be like that? Is this going to be like, well, season 3 was not as good as 2 or 1, and season 4 is going to have a different Geralt, but I got to see what it looks like, so I'm going to watch it anyway. Because that still counts as viewership.
It's probably going to go that way regardless, because of the fact, one, it's Witcher. We want to see more Witcher, regardless who's playing Geralt. But it's just, people are going to watch it regardless because they want to see what's going to happen. Going to continue. We already got 2 seasons. We're getting the prequel and on Christmas this year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're going to get more, and regardless if Henry is part of it, not, and we're all invested into the story already.
Yeah. It'll be interesting.
But hey, we
curious.
have Dandelion. He's staying the same.
Dandelion's the same. It's fine. Yennefer's the same. They're still there.
Yes.
The series is the same. Yeah. Yaskier. Yeah. He's even a different name.
Yaskier, Dandelion. They're the same.
All right. Yeah, they're the same. All right. We're going to take a mid break here. We got to go. We got to go thank our patrons. You guys, it'll be real quick. And then we're going to come back and we're going to talk some more about this. Also, I wanted to go over Liam Hemsworth's IMDb page and the things that he's done, the roles that he's played, and give us some expectations for maybe what we can expect. So we'll be right back.
Very well. Let us get this over with. Something has infested my vineyard.
Mm-hmm. Great. Let me go prepare my something oil then.
All right. Thank you to all of our patrons for being here and supporting us. All 19 of you currently. Thank you for your support, and thank you to you guys and those of you who sign up and can join us on our monthly chats. This is always an awesome time. Thank you for joining us. And a big shout out to our Higher Vampires, Ben of Temeria. There's Ben and Jared M. Thank you so much for that support as well. You guys get shout outs every month. We don't have any new patrons and we don't have any new reviews to read out this week. So this part's going to be short and sweet. But if you'd like to support us, go to patreon.com/WitcherLorecast. Check out the different tiers, get ad-free episodes, join us on future chats, get t-shirts, all sorts of different stuff, depending on what tier you sign up at. And if you'd like to leave us a rating or a review on Apple Podcasts, we'll read it out. 5-star ratings with reviews get read out on future episodes. Plus, you can leave us a rating on Spotify if you listen on there. All of that helps let people know that this show's worth checking out. So we really appreciate it. All right, let's move on with the rest of the show.
You smell of death and destiny, heroics and heartbreak.
It's onion.
Right, yeah.
Toasty, I was already moving into the transition when you wanted to chime in. Is there something you wanted to say before we get into Liam's details? You're like, I don't remember anymore. It's been too long.
Oh, no.
Yeah. It's all right. It'll come back to you.
No. Oh. I got it. Because I realized something specifically, just with how like the whole story of The Witcher is set up and like how they kind of do it or whatever. Because it's not like we do kind of get like the perspective, whatever, but like generally like a lot of the details are handled by like us seeing through the perspective of Dandelion on how like he perceives these things. What if that becomes the reasoning somehow for like the recast of just like Dandelion viewing Geralt in a different way?
That's the justification, is that like his POV, his opinion of Geralt changes, and so therefore he looks different to us.
I mean, there's entire details of like the books where it's just like straight up just like Dandelion's perspective. So it's like, well, like we don't know. And I mean, even like the tabletop does the same thing with like that whole like that book that they released where it was just Dandelion's stories and like his perspective on the world and how skewed it is.
Unreliable narrator.
His perspective, yeah.
Yeah.
He's an unreliable narrator. So it's like,
yeah, well, maybe. But then again, if the writers don't like the source material, they might not even know that that's a thing they can do. So I guess we'll have to see. Ben's holding something up. What are you holding up? Oh, it's all blurry. Oh, there's the book, the Dandelion TTRPG book. Is that what that is? Oh no, your voice isn't coming through again for some reason.
It's because of my mic.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's the Dandelion book for the TTRPG where he has a very skewed look of the world.
There you go. Yeah. Your mic might have a noise gate that's too high, so when you talk quietly, it doesn't actually, it cuts it out. That might be the issue with that. So here, let's talk about Liam Hemsworth. All right, so IMDb. The page says Liam Hemsworth was born on January 13th, 1990 in Melbourne, Australia, and is the younger brother of actors Chris Hemsworth and Luke Hemsworth. He is the son of Leonie Van Oos, a teacher of English, and Craig Hemsworth, a social services counselor. He is of Dutch and his immigrant material grandfather Irish, English, Scottish, and German. It goes on. But here, let's get to the details here. I'm sure you guys are wondering, what has he been in? Does anybody know off the top of your head what Liam Hemsworth has acted in before?
He was in the Hunger Games.
Musicals. I know he's in musicals.
Musicals. What did you say, Crow?
He was in the Hunger Games movies.
He was in the Hunger.
That's
yes.
true.
Oh, what was the
Gale Hawthorne?
Gale. Yeah.
He was also in. I saw some video earlier. He was in some like Muppet movie or something like that. 2015,
The Muppets TV series.
Yeah.
And I guess it was one episode. Bear Left, then Bear Right, WRITE and BEAR, as in like Fozzie Bear, probably.
How clever.
Yeah. So here, he got his start. The first credit is 2007, at the ripe old age of 17, in Home and Away, the TV series, and was in one episode. And then McLeod's Daughter TV series was in one episode, same year. And then Neighbors, the TV series. Everybody remembers Neighbors from 2007, 2008, right? I don't even know what that is. 25 episodes. Recurring character Josh Taylor. And then another TV series, Satisfaction, in 2009. Again, does anybody know these shows? I don't know these shows at all. Spencer, the character Spencer in the movie Knowing. Then there's the Elephant Princess TV series, where he played a character named Marcus for 18 episodes. Right? Like, what are these? I have no idea. And then a string of movies and some other stuff. Triangle, the movie Triangle, The Last Song, and then The Hunger Games in 2012 as Gale Hawthorne. Boom, struck gold, right? Then The Expendables 2 as Billy the Kid. I never watched that film, but all right. And then we end up with some other films, another Hunger Games, some other films. He got to be on Saturday Night Live in 2015 after the Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1 came out. So that's kind of cool. Then the Muppets TV series episode in 2015. And then we end up with Workaholics TV series, some other minor roles. Independence Day Resurgence. Did you see the Independence Day movie from 2016? Does anybody remember that one? A little bit of nods, a little bit of shakes of heads.
Never watched it.
The Duel.
Watched it.
Yeah, a movie called The Duel. Another movie called Isn't It Romantic? Killer Man. And then now we're up to modern day stuff, where he is credited as being Geralt of Rivia, beginning on episode 1 of season 4. And he's also done some other things that are still in the works and haven't released yet.
He's being credited for Geralt for, I guess, because the TV series started in 2019, but it like puts it in 2019,
right?
Which is like, but he ain't gonna be Geralt until 2024 at least. Like, chill out. Like,
right. It's the way it orders it. Yeah, Most Dangerous Game TV series short, Arkansas movie, James and the Giant Peach with Taika and Friends TV miniseries. I didn't even know that was a thing. I think that's Taika Waititi, the director, right?
Yeah.
A movie called Poker Face, another movie called Land of Bad, which is currently filming, and Lonely Planet, which is currently filming. So he's got films. He's been working. He just only has a few roles that any of us would recognize him from.
Like,
you mean role. Hunger Games? That's
basically Hunger Games.
That's what that is. Like,
yeah. So, okay. So when it comes to our limited experience with Liam, what do you guys think? Do you think he's a good pick? Do you think maybe because he's kind of roughly unknown that maybe there's some potential there? Because he's not just like another star, like a big star, obviously he's been acting, but
It's because they can pay him cheap.
you think that's what it is?
Probably.
I agree.
I mean, they were paying.
I agree.
Henry went from
Henry Cavill was getting like $1 million an episode.
Yeah, season 1 he was making $400,000 an episode. Season 2 they upped it to $1 million an episode in order to keep him on.
And I guarantee you, Liam's not getting $1 million an episode.
Probably not.
Definitely not.
Yeah, because especially like besides the Hunger Games, I mean, for one, most of us have never seen any of the other ones, and from what we know,
isn't a Romantics actually a good musical romance film?
oh, okay.
Just saying.
I've seen The Knowing.
It's hilarious.
It was another bad Nicolas Cage movie, but like whatever.
Well, that's kind of what I was getting at. Is at least like the majority of his movies and shows that he's been on are either like completely unknown for the most part, or like they kind of bombed. Because again, I didn't see the Independence Day resurgence, but I don't think it did very well either.
It's just them trying to do remakes of like classic films that everybody loves and then failing because
I mean, the Top Gun remake sequel.
Okay, that's because it had Tom Cruise. Let's be honest.
Which is a reason not to go see it, in my opinion. But let's move on from there. Yeah, I don't like paying for his cult. Man, we're going to get letters about that one, aren't we? Well, here's the thing. Here's another thing about him. He was born in 1990. He's 22 years old, right? No, 32. 32. I'm sorry. Wrong math.
Buddy,
32 years old. My math is bad. 32 years old. Geralt looks aged. I mean, he's young for his age, but he also looks mature. And I feel like at this point in Henry Cavill's career and the way that he physically looks, he embeds that kind of middle adult. He doesn't look old, but he doesn't look too young, kind of like right at the right age kind of thing. When I look at pictures of Liam, he looks younger to me than Henry looks. Is that an issue with this character?
It's gonna be weird. Like it's just like reverse aging. Like it's gonna be weird.
Can you imagine whenever Yennefer makes another crack about Yaskir's like crow's feet, and then Geralt's literally getting younger.
Yeah, like he's just be standing next to there like babyface Geralt of Rivia, just like
it's the mutagens.
Yeah,
but it kind of makes me think of the I think it was the Polish Witcher movie that they made. Like the guy in that, he was a little bit. He was like 30 something, maybe late 30s, early 40s, but like even he looked kind of like smooth face, not like he had really been through the battles and like roughed it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Henry's got like such a chiseled jaw, and like he's just got that like masculine kind of face. But he's 7 years older than Liam. He's almost 40. So is that, I mean, that time in your 30s is usually a significant, like you can tell like 30 from 40, almost, like you can kind of just tell. I mean, yes, they use movie magic and, makeup and stuff. And yeah, nobody ever looks their age in Hollywood, but is Liam too young for the role? Or do you think they can again, use makeup and Hollywood magic and make him look a little bit more, I don't know, austere? Is that the right word?
Sorry, what was the question? I got completely distracted scrolling through pictures of this man because I definitely have seen some pictures now that he looks a lot older in it, specifically the ones from Killer Man that came out in 2019. Once he's actually gotten kind of wrapped up, it looks like he's been beaten in this movie. So he's got like cuts and bruises across his face, and he's got the beard going, and he looks older in it.
Yeah, I'm looking at the same pictures. He can definitely do the gruff thing. He's got the good beard. He's still got a strong masculine jaw. You think that they can rough him up and make him look like Geralt? You think that's going to be? You're saying this is going to work?
I think it can. Like when Henry Cavill was first announced as Geralt, a lot of people's complaints was that he's too pretty to play Geralt, because all we knew of him as was like Superman and being too prim and proper and pretty boy.
And Geralt from the books is ugly, like straight up ugly. They prettied him up in the games over the course of the games. Witcher 1 Geralt, much more ugly than Witcher 3 Geralt. So
they're just gonna follow the same just logic of just like, see, Geralt just gets prettier as time goes on, so we'll just make him look prettier as time goes on.
I don't know. Maybe he can do it. I've seen some images where they like Photoshop him into a Geralt face and like dye his hair and like make him.
I haven't seen any good ones though. That's like because people aren't like respecting it, so they're just like
making fun
putting
of it.
Like real shit Photoshop jobs on him, being like, oh, here you go, guys. And it's like, so I don't know any good ones. I've seen better ones for people's like, oh, this person could have been a cool like replacement for Henry or whatever. I've seen better Photoshop jobs for those people than for Liam, which is that's kind of rough.
My question is, can he do the voice? Can he get the gruff voice that is Geralt? That's my thing.
Probably.
He might be, because like I think like they're just
everybody like, do your best Geralt impression.
No, he and Henry kind of I think have the same like level of like tone in their voice. Is just like Henry's natural voice is of course with the accent.
Well, Liam's is too. I mean, he's Australian. They both don't have American accents.
I've never heard him speak outside of a movie because
Geralt doesn't necessarily have. Does Geralt have an American accent? I mean, he sounds
like Thor.
Yeah, he doesn't. Like the way Henry plays Geralt, he doesn't sound English, like he sounds kind of just middle American, right? Just kind of nondescript, kind of flat accent, at least to our ears as American speakers.
He actually has a Rivian accent.
Okay. So Rivian is like generic American accent. Maybe that's the case. So yeah, like Thor, like Chris, Liam's brother Thor, puts on the Thor voice when he talks. Right? Like he very much does that, but he doesn't sound Australian, even though he's Australian. So clearly, these actors are able to do voices, and they're good actors. They're able to do this, right?
It is funny though, like with Chris, like even off screen, I've seen a bunch of interviews with him. He sounds almost like his Thor voice. He doesn't put much onto it.
Yeah, maybe he's got a deeper voice than Chris does.
Australian, just like a little bit. It's not much.
He doesn't knock a lot off. It just almost does it naturally.
Yeah. Well, he definitely lowers his register when he's talking Thor. He's talking down here. He's not talking in his normal register. And Geralt's kind of like that too. The gruff thing, right? I'm Geralt. Like my voice is down here now. I'm gruff, and I'm a little bit lower in the way I speak. Like it's a different register. But maybe
I think a big part of it is all like, and I don't think it matters too much who they have playing Geralt. I mean, obviously, if he goes and just butchers it, that's going to be a problem. But I think it's all riding on the story, like the rest of the story, and like where they take it and how they write the character. I mean, he's got to be given some material before he can sell it. And if he gets the good material but then doesn't sell it, that's on him. But just from the little bit that I've seen him in, like, I think he could. And I mean, let's be honest, if they keep writing Geralt the same way that he has been, it's not like there's got to be a lot of range for that.
Yeah, I was supposed to say, like, if they're pushing for quiet, broody Geralt, it'll be fine because he's got practice at that because he had barely any dialogue in the Hunger Games series. So,
all right.
Gale's not an important part of the story, so he's not there for most of it. So that's just how it is. That's the character he got. So
yeah. Well, I have to say, like, I think maybe we can all agree, at least those of us here right now, the five of us, that we hope the show does well. We hope the show can continue on without Henry. We hope the writing doesn't get terrible, even if it does continue to go away from where the books are, that it still is at least an entertaining and well-written show. And that's something that the internet's been debating since season 2 is like, well, there's some flaws in the writing, like teleporting across the continent, even though they were on horseback, like that, just stupid stuff that, like, come on, it doesn't have to do this. Right. You guys, like, let's get back to that. Do you think Like, I know we're all hoping for something good. What do you think the chances are? We're all going to give Liam a chance, right? Let's just start there. Yes. We're all probably going to watch it, and we're going to be rooting for him. Like, Toasty's shaking his hand. He's like, I don't know.
I'm doing this podcast, dude. I have to. So.
Right. But even if you and I weren't hosts of a podcast about The Witcher, because this podcast doesn't even have to be about the shows. It could continue to be mostly about the games and the books, right? Like, we still have material. But even if that wasn't the case, I still feel like you'd probably still just hope he does a good job, right? Like, hopefully this is still a good, entertaining show, and he does a good job as Geralt. Like, ultimately, that we're better off for that if that's the case, right? Because at least we get more entertainment.
Oh yeah, and I know we've been like really dogging on the writers, but I still, even if it's not completely book accurate, I still enjoy the first 2 seasons of The Witcher and still rewatch them. So I mean, yes, hope that he does well and hope that they continue to at least make an entertaining story with whatever they're doing with it.
Yeah, I think Toasty and I are in agreement. We still enjoyed the first 2 seasons. We just noticed that it kept moving further and further from the source material. And there were some, and I still, and this happens in every show. There are those just little like TV show things that happen, and you're just like, why did they have to do this? Right? Like, did you just not have enough time to write a better reason for this happening? Or, like it's just some of that stuff that just happens. And I hope that we avoid that.
I'd still watch it for Yaskier. I mean, like, easy enough guarantee. I'd still watch it in the hopes that they don't, that we still get to see Ciri murder a bunch of people on ice. That's what I'm holding out for. Like, that's one of the biggest things that I want from it is to watch that scene because it's going to be so cool.
I want to see more Yen. Like the season 1 Yennefer stuff when we got, like, she was like total badass. She had her magic, like that. That's like, we get her robbed of magic and having to just kind of struggle along in season 2 and then making some very questionable choices. I want her back. I want badass Yen back. What do you guys think? I'm seeing some nods from Ben and Jen.
Oh,
Ben and Jen.
yeah.
I'm never going to say no to badass Yen. Like, come on.
You think that's what we're going to get? You think we're going to get a return to that?
That's probably like Ciri and Yen's characters are probably going to still go up incline to where they're going to get like, because they're focusing more on not just Geralt for the show, because mainly it's all Geralt in the books and then series stuff that like Yen barely shows up only on certain points compared to the show where they're heavily focused on all of them.
Yeah, it's like the 3 of them are split leads.
Yeah,
those 3 characters.
So,
yeah,
and especially how modern media and everything they want everybody to be represented, which is great. And having Yen and having her more in an active role and like just kicking ass the entire time. Yes, it's going to work. Mm-hmm. They're going to do it.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think they need to do to convince the public that this is going to be okay? Because this is a marketing nightmare for the team right now, because the messaging out on the internet right now is like, hey,
screen test.
Everything's burning to the ground. Nobody wants to watch the show anymore. It's dying.
Show a screen test.
I think it's really going to come down to season 3. They better hope that they did it well and end it well to make us still want more. Because then people, like even the haters, might cheer whenever they see Liam on screen because it's just Geralt, depending on where they're taking the story and how they leave the story.
Okay. You think it's possible? You think we'll get a screen test? You think we'll like...
Probably not. Just knowing how things work. But that's probably going to be their best option to salvage anything from the fan base right now is to show a screen test or something with Liam in the role.
I think you're right. I think if that was done really well, it would be very convincing. But it's very dangerous, because what if they think it's good, but it puts out there and people are just like, oh my God, this is so bad. Like, remember the early pictures we got of Henry with like the bad wig? Remember that? And people were like, what is this? Why does his hair look bad? Like, what's wrong? This isn't how Geralt looks. And then they changed it for the show.
And I think that that's why we really just have to hold off and wait to see how he does. Go with it, and like, I'm going to go into it with an open mind and just be like, okay, this is the new Geralt, and then give it an honest shot. Because you know what, if I give it 3 episodes and I still don't like how he's doing Geralt, then I can say, okay, I tried. But you know, because it's like the internet has done that so many times, where an actor that they don't want to see playing a role gets massacred online, and then they don't feel the same level of passion because they already feel like the fan base hates them. Right. And so I don't want him to go into this role with a negative feeling, like, or like oh my God, I have to go way over the top in order to make everybody like me. And then that's not going to be a good Geralt either.
Right. No, I agree. I think we should give him the support. We should say, hey, we hope you're going to succeed. We're rooting for you. And then if he doesn't, he doesn't. But at least we started with the best intentions, right?
I've been surprised. I mean, so whenever they first announced the Witcher stuff and they announced that Henry Cavill would be playing Geralt, I didn't like that. I thought that Henry Cavill was too just too like goody for the role. Like seeing him play like Superman, I was just like, I don't think, like, how the hell is this dude the right fit for this role? And then we saw him on screen. It was like, damn, all right, well, I'm just going to shut the fuck up now, because I don't know what I'm talking about. This dude's doing great. So it's happened before, so it can happen again for me, honestly. So
yeah, he's a solid actor, and that's why he's able to pull it off, right? Like, he's not just a pretty face and a big muscles. Like, he's a smart guy and a good actor. The other thing that I think is interesting here is that we have some precedent, even just this year, with House of the Dragon, moving through time frames and recasting the actors throughout the season. So that's a very big thing. We have two of the main actresses swapped out in order to cast older actresses in those roles, because they knew that the first few episodes were going to be them as younger girls, and the rest of the episodes were going to be them as grown women, and they needed to have different actresses in order to play that correctly. And I know that there is some friction in that. I know that some of the communities got lost in it, like, oh my God, I can't look at this person, they're not the same person anymore. But in my feeling, watching the show, I don't know if you guys have seen House of the Dragons, but by about the second or third episode with the new actresses in it, I was already invested in them. I had already moved on, even in the course of one season, 10 episodes, I believe. I was just like, okay, yeah, this is who this person is now. They look different, but this is who they are. Did any of the rest of you guys watch it?
I did.
But I did not, but I used to watch soap operas back in the day, and they changed out actors and actresses all the time, and there was absolutely no explanation why Billy walks in and she looks completely different. Right. And so I'm used to actors changing out.
Yeah. Soap opera. That reminds me, my mom watched soap operas when I was a kid.
Like big movies. I mean, to switch between like Rhodey and Iron Man and Iron Man 2.
Yeah. Yeah. Different actor, completely different actor. They look very different. Yeah. So maybe there's a chance. Maybe there's a chance. I think, I think we need to, we like to spread positivity. I know the shows on this network, my shows, the hosts, we generally try to be more optimistic than pessimistic. And I know I'm speaking for other people right now, but I know Toasty thinks he's more of a jerk and a pessimist than he actually is. Deep down, he's a teddy bear. And he's never going to agree with me on that.
It's funny how you think you know me.
He's never going to agree with me on that. He is. But anyway, in general, I believe, I can at least speak for myself, that it's good to be positive and hopeful for things until all of a sudden you're proven wrong, and then let reality redefine your understanding of it, and then just see it for how it is. But until something happens, you don't know. And when it comes to human beings, like you were saying, it's better for somebody like Liam to go into acting this role out feeling like he has support and can succeed at it, rather than feeling like he's going to fail from the beginning. I think that in general, human beings are better at doing a good job when they feel that people believe they can do a good job. They rise to the occasion. Some people are able to fight against the current and do it anyway, but those circumstances are not the typical ones. They're not as common, I think. So I don't know. For all of our benefit, I think it's best to just say, hey, good luck. We hope you do good. And if you don't, that sucks, but we hope you do good. We're rooting for you. I don't know. Those are my last thoughts. You guys have any last thoughts about this as we kind of get to the end of the episode?
I still think that I think a lot of the fan base, no matter how invested they are in the world, is going to watch season 3 just for Henry Cavill, and continue the story. I think what could loop a lot of them back in, especially if it has a decent ending, is the first trailer that we get with Liam and the whole get up and everything. I think that could really tie in a lot of people. But yeah, like you said, I think that give him a shot. I mean, it's not like they chose somebody just completely out of left field. He could surprise us all and still be a good Geralt. And I don't think that we should write him off too soon especially 2 to 3 years before we even get to see him as him.
That's true. And it's not like this is a minor role. I'm sure they had many people applying and trying out for the role. So, assuming they know what they're doing, they went with the best one they could possibly find. So that probably bodes well. Jen, do you have any final thoughts? I think you're muted.
I've liked Liam ever since he did the Nicholas Sparks movie with Miley Cyrus. And then they were together for years upon years. They were engaged to be married. Half of her songs are written about him. Look, that may be the girly girl in me coming out, but I'll still support him because, he's cute.
All right. I mean, I think that just speaks for, 50% of the fan base. It was just it's cute person in the role. I'm good with it.
Yeah.
So, and not just women. I'm not just saying women, and I'm anybody who thinks he's cute, men or women, grandmas, it doesn't matter. Yep, cute guy playing the role. I'm on board.
My mom thinks he's cute and is on board with him being in the role. So, yep.
I mean, that's what Hollywood has been doing for generations, is let's just put this attractive face in front of people and then they're just going to pay us tickets to see them. So it does work on some level. Ben, any last thoughts?
I mean, I agree with Crow full-heartedly. I mean, it's not like they got him out of left field or anything. If they picked him, they probably think that he's going to be the one and good Geralt to replace Henry. And even Henry said he has faith in him to take up his mantle.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully that wasn't just PR speak. Yeah. Hopefully that was genuine, right?
I mean, if you watch enough interviews with Henry, he's a genuine person.
Right.
What he says he means.
Yeah.
So I'm going to watch it regardless because it's Witcher. So it's whatever for me. I'm going to still buy merch and still watch the show. So it's whatever.
Yeah. I think we all are. Toasty, any last thoughts? Teddy Bear Toasty.
Only last thought is that if Chris Hemsworth's genetics or anything to go by, the buffing up for the role for Liam should be pretty fucking easy. So,
dude, there's some pictures of him on the internet already. He's pretty ripped. Yeah. I don't know that he has to do a whole lot in order to.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, we've seen Chris Hemsworth. That dude's freaking huge.
right.
So, the genetics are just there for that family. It just works.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your opinions and your thoughts. I don't know. Fingers crossed. Hopefully this all works out. Let's go back through one more time and feel free to share any projects that you're working on, anything that you want people to tune into, or just ways they could reach out. Ben, starting with you. You're first on the list in my view. Oh, and there you are. It was doing the delay thing again.
Delays. So I have my stuff. I am one of the hosts for Holocron History, Star Wars versus Canon, Canon versus Legends. We
Something
go
like
over
that.
all the lore of Star Wars and stuff like that. And then I have my other show, Wizarding World Lorecast, where we go into a deep dive of all things Harry Potter. So check out those shows. They're on the Robots Radio Network. And we do live stream them on my Twitch channel at Bennett Tamaria. Normally, we would be live streaming tonight for Wizarding World, but things came up to where we had to move that to Friday. So that's going to be 10 p.m. if anybody wants to watch that.
Worked out. All right. Well, thanks for being here. Yeah, go check out his shows. If you are looking for links for any of the shows, I get these questions all the time. I heard of somebody's show. I want to check it out. Where do I find it? Just go to robotsradio.net. All the shows are listed on there. There's a whole podcast page. You can scroll down it, find the show on the list, click on it. It'll take you to a place where you can download it. So go check it out there. Crow.
Yeah, I am Crow of Velen on the Discord. It's about the only social media I have. Fun fact I found out the other week. I may be part monster because I got myself a silver crow pendant. And a couple days after wearing it, a rash started breaking out on my chest where I was wearing it.
It might just be because it's like dirty metal, but maybe you're a monster.
Probably the monster.
Probably the monster. Yeah. Well, good luck with that. Don't stab yourself with it. Be very careful. Don't eat it either. Jen, I know you got stuff.
My mom once told me that I was part vampire because whenever the priest would touch my forehead with holy water, I would break out into pimples in the sign of the cross on my forehead.
Oh, that's awesome. Or the devil.
I too, Velen, am part vampire, part monster. But I am also one half of the Two Girls, One Ship podcast, where we analyze, rate, and review all that the world of video game romances has to offer. But you can also find me on the Cyberpunk Lorecast with my co-host, Toasty, where we explore the foundations of the past, the state of Night City today, and the news of the future for all things cyberpunk.
Awesome. Yeah, go check out the shows. Toasty, you got anything else going on? I know you're doing more than just one cyberpunk thing.
Yeah, also the Witcher Lorecast on Twitter, and check out obviously Cyberpunk Lorecast, as well as Cyberpunk apostrophe D, the Cyberpunk Red actual play podcast with the Fumbling for an Almighty Crit group, also on the network. So.
Awesome. Yeah, go check that stuff out. And all the rest of my shows, all the other lorecasts that I do, also robotsradio.net. Lots of shows. People still jump in our Discord and they're like, wow, there's a lot of shows here. And I'm like, I don't know how many times at the end of, you guys might skip the end of the episodes because I'll say things like, come check out all the shows. There's lots of shows. If you're a fan of something, like any sort of book or video game, there's a pretty solid chance we might have a show about it. There's lots of shows out there, so go check them out. But thank you everybody for joining me again. Thank you for the support patrons and listeners and live chat. Thank you all for being here. We'll be back next week, Toasty and I, and we got some schedule stuff changing up next month. Toasty's got some revising stuff.
It's this month.
This month, because we're no longer in October. My brain is still October 31st because that's when we were going to record this. But this coming few weeks, so our live episodes might not be live because we might have to go ahead and pre-record some stuff in order to get it out there on time. But make sure you are following us on the audio platform in order to get all that stuff. So just search Witcher Lorecast on Spotify or whatever, it comes right up. All right, that's what we got. Thanks for being here, everybody. We'll see you next time. See you guys later. Thanks for tuning in to the Witcher Lorecast. We'd love to hear about your experiences with the games and the books and the TV series and all your thoughts on everything. Please check out the Robots Radio Discord and follow us on Twitter at Witcher Lorecast.
You've been listening to a Robots Radio podcast. Smart shows for interesting people. Check out all the shows at robotsradio.net.